Hi, good day. Welcome to Gospel in the Real again. I am Pastor Patricia Bryan of Nazareth Church of God in Cape Coral. Welcome.
Welcome to Gospel in the Real. My name is Tasheekia Perry, and I am the founder of Crowning Daughters for Success Enrichment Program. Welcome.
Welcome. Welcome. Here we are again. We're talking today about transitioning after the death of a loved one, whether it's a mother or a brother, a father, change. Your situation has changed. Your relationship has changed. How do we go from having someone that we love with us and then going away? And I want to discuss today about a parent situation. Mom is gone and daddy's left behind, and daddy's been mourning. So here I am as his child. What is my role? How am I supposed to handle when I see my dad moving on to maybe another relationship in his life? How can I handle that without suffering hurt or causing that person hurt? What is my position on this?
Wow. That's a very good question, but my heart is heavy for anyone that loses a loved one.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we have to take into perspective or into account is that we cannot judge, rush, or delay another person's grieving.
Amen.
We cannot. You may be grieving and you handle things this way. Another person may grieve and they may handle things totally different. You have to give that person the room and the right to grieve and to move on as they know how.
Yeah.
For instance, when my brother was killed, it was a different situation. He wasn't sick. He was healthy. I thought I was going to talk to him the next day. That night, I received a call that he had been killed out of the blue.
Yeah.
So the way a person dies has a lot to do with your grieving process. Being that my brother was murdered, his life was taken by the hands of other people, it caused me to grieve a little harder than someone who may have known that someone is sick or someone is in the hospital or they were pre-warned. When death comes at no warning or with no warning, the grieving process is a little bit more difficult. So when I was married, because my ex-husband had not lost a sibling, he did to the best of his ability to support me and to help me. But what he didn't realize is different things triggered my pain.
Yeah.
Birthdays triggered somehow a memory that I have with my brother. An argument, if I'm already thinking about my brother, magnifies the emotions that I feel. So when you're talking about grieving a loved one, especially a parent, it is very difficult for both parties to move on. But you still have to give that person the freedom again and the right to move on how they feel they need to move on.
Yes, because as you said, we all deal differently. Maybe some of us withdraw. I've lost my mother and my father at this point. And when my father died, it was hard, but I still had my mother. When my mother died, I felt lost, empty. The root of my life was gone. And so I had to grieve. Now, I grieved. I didn't always spend time crying. In fact, I put a lot of things on the inside, watch others around me cry, but I held on to my grief until the day that I had to come face to face with it, because eventually that's what happened, and you grieve. But I never had to go through the process of seeing my other parent move on. But I can only imagine that if I am grieving and you are grieving, you might want to retreat and be by yourself and just go through the process on your own. Well, there are others who needs a shoulder to cry on. They need someone to help them to go through the process. And when, as a child of this parent, I really don't have the right. I really don't have the right. The only right I would have is if I see that other person taking abusing my parent in some way, then I would have the right to step in and say, well, you can't do this to so and so.
Right.
But if both parties agree,
there you go.
if both people agree to do this thing, the only thing I can do is step back and allow them to find what they're trying to find.
Absolutely.
If they don't find it, I just want them to know that I'm still going to be here for you.
Absolutely.
And yes, it might hurt me, because here what happens is that somebody else comes in the midst of the grieving process, and that makes you even more angry.
Yes.
And doing things and trying to fill a gap that was not theirs to fill. I still have to release that person, as long as two parties agree.
Absolutely. You're making it plain.
As long as two parties agree, there is nothing I can do. And what I have to do is continue with my own grieving process and be healed in myself. And now all I can do is help and be there for the other person.
Absolutely.
As they come through. I believe that's the only thing, because everybody has to grieve in their own time and in their own way.
In their own time. And I think the two worst ingredients to put together is grief and anger.
Yeah.
When you are grieving, it is one thing. It is a sense of sorrow that you feel. But when you are angry, bitterness builds up, hatred builds up, unforgiveness builds up. So if you allow that grieving moment or the spirit of grief to transition into anger and hate and bitterness, you are going to be in a dark place for a long time. And being that, again, my brother was murdered, it was very easy for me to transition from grief to anger because someone took his life. He was not sick. He did not get in a car accident. Someone blowed his brains out. So therefore, if I did not have Christ, it would have been very easy for me to want revenge. Very easy for me to look at them like the bottom of my shoe. So therefore, we have to be very careful. And there are a lot of young people that their parents may let them watch this segment. You may have lost a dad, or you may have lost a mom, and now that bonus parent is stepping in. Listen, no one will ever fill your parents' shoe. My brother has 4 children, and their parents have to go on with their life, because as long as we wake up, we have to live. So why live miserably? If they're with someone, it's not going to bring my father back. If they're not with someone, it's not going to bring my brother back. I apologize. So therefore, they cannot allow even my nieces and nephew to prevent them from living. Do they want to see their dad in that picture? Yes. Will their dad ever be in that picture? No. So you have to allow your parent to live their life outside of the deceased. Yes. And you have to not bring more problems, and you have to not magnify the situation. That parent will always be your parent. You will always hold a place in your heart for that parent, but don't push away that someone that could possibly love you and help you heal, grow, and get past each moment that the enemy is trying to torment you with.
And it's difficult losing a parent in death, or losing a parent in divorce. You can develop a form of anger that can turn to depression, and the anxiety can actually reflect on you and make you ill. So you have got to, in your own mind, recognize this is going to be my parent forever, and this is the parent I have left, and I'm going to love this parent, even though I would rather them not go down that street. But that's what I would rather not have them have. It's not about what they want.
Absolutely.
They are the ones that are in charge of their life. And again, as I say, unless you're seeing ill abuse and you're seeing this person's life put in danger, you have to step back and kind of put your hands up and say, well, I hope that this will work out. And give that person an opportunity to find themselves again. Because as much as you might be grieving, they're also grieving.
Absolutely.
They're also grieving. So what is that going to do for them? If somebody else comes in their life, is it going to be able to help them to grow and withstand. And believe me, this happens all the time when one parent go, when a brother go, whatever, you lose. And anybody that tries to step in, it's worse with children, divorce or whatever. You're not my mother, you're not my father, I don't want you to take this position. But that's being a little selfish.
It is being selfish.
It's being a little selfish because you're not giving the other person the opportunity to grow past that pain. And if you love somebody, you will always love that person.
Absolutely.
That person is going to be a part of you.
No matter what.
No matter. Nobody can take that. That is not replaceable. We have to understand it. The person you loved is always going to be the person you love.
Absolutely.
You meet someone else and you love them, but you love them in a different way.
Absolutely.
There are different dynamics. There are different things that draws us together. So I might have loved that other person because they had big blue eyes or brown eyes in our case.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is that drew me to that person. And now that person is gone and I meet somebody else with green eyes. But I love them because their eyes were green. But they had something about them that drew me to them. So the love comes in different forms and shapes. And we just gonna have to learn to just let go and let that person live to the best of their ability and be there for them. And for your own personal healing, just understand that this is a process that they're going through and that you're going through, and the process changes with time.
Absolutely.
Time is the greatest healer. Time will reveal all things. It doesn't matter what it is. Whatever the situation is, whatever you're facing, in time you will see the results, and sometimes you might be surprised by it.
I am so serious. I mean, you really, really hit the spot. And the transition, if you just lose a loved one and you're trying to figure out, well, what's next? What's next is that, with me personally, I'm never going to get over the fact that I don't have my brother. I'm going to I don't think about him every second of the day, but I think about him often. So, but I had to learn to live, when we discussed earlier, I had to learn to live through the pain, live through whatever. I can't sleep in my bed and not go to work because my brother is no longer here. I can't stop paying my bills because my brother is no longer here. I can't base my life on hate and be on this emotional roller coaster because my brother is not here. I can't stop feeding Jaden because my brother is not here. I have to live through the pain, and with each day the pain does get less. I'll never get over not having him. I'll never get over the fact that I can't pick up the phone and say, hey, listen to what I'm doing now, or come to this particular event. But I don't let the pain rule me. I don't let the pain or the loss define me, and I don't allow it to shape my belief system. There is still a God with or without the loved one. Amen. And it is He who would give us the peace that surpass our own understanding. Because there have been definite times that I thought I should wake up in a crazy house because of the dreams and because of the vision of him lying there alone in a car on a dead-end street in another state. But there is a peace when you're with Jesus. Yes. That he'll give you that surpass your own understanding. You'll find yourself praying for the very person that murdered your loved one because of your relationship with God. There are transitions, so don't stop at grief.
No. We can live beyond grief. You can live beyond grief and allow life to transition into the change that it has to become for that flower to bloom again.
Absolutely.
It starts off in the dirt, but it has to keep coming up out of the dirt till it becomes that blooming flower. Don't cut it off in the root because you don't understand it, or it might not be what you desire. Wait and see what will transpire.
Absolutely.
We have to learn to wait and just learn to let go and let God. Pray for your loved ones, pray for your strength, and yes, God will give you a peace when you give it all to Him and you learn how to just depend on Him and You know, you can't win all battles on your own. In fact,
No.
we can win no battles on
No.
our own. Christ is the one that helps us to win the battles. So I encourage you, if you have lost someone today and you're in transition, remember that Jesus Christ is the way.
Absolutely.
He is the one that gives the peace that passes all understanding. He is our comforter. He's our strength. Learn to rely on him and let the transition happen. Change will come.
Absolutely. I don't know why I'm led, but you know when you fall down and you have that big red
Bruise.
fleshly skin and it hurts. And the worst thing is for somebody to talk about they're going to pour some alcohol on it. Okay? Because it's open.
Yes.
But then you wake up the next day and it gets a little scaly.
Yes.
And then you wake up another day and you see your actual skin again. Transitions. No one is saying that someone who has lost someone, you need to wake up and say hip hip hooray. If you need to lay in the bed and cry one day, lay in that bed and cry one day so you don't slap nobody on your job, okay? Because you're hurting. You're dealing with a lot of pain. You're dealing with a lot of uncertainties. You don't know certain things, so you're confused in a sense. Allow God to heal you the proper way, but don't deny your emotions. Don't deny the fact that you're hurt. Don't deny the fact that you are confused. Think of the great times. One of my greatest nuggets for transitioning, we had us a good time, my brother and I. And when I think of the clowns we were, I laugh sometimes. My son be looking at me like I'm crazy. But think of the good times, and those good times will overshadow even the grief at some point.
And if you're still in that place where you feel stuck, there are grief counselors
Yes.
around. There are people that can help you to transition. And I always say, find one that knows the Word of God. I honestly believe that the world can help in some things, but I believe if you are a child of God, if you need the Word of God because it's food and it's food for life.
Yes.
Find someone who can help you to transition in the change that you're experiencing, to go from place to place. Because you're going to be angry, you're going to be hurt, you're going to feel lost and lonely, powerless, all kinds of emotions we go through. But when you trust the Lord, when you find the help you need, you can get through this and life will be wonderful again. This is Gospel in the Real. We love you. We will see you next time. Be blessed in your lives.
Be blessed.